Hey there, entrepreneur. Welcome back to another fascinating episode of Fascinating Founders. I'm your host, Nicole Holland, and I'm thrilled to be your guide as we dive in and uncover the stories that came before the success of some of the world's most fascinating founders. Hailing from a multitude of industries and socioeconomic starts, you're going to learn what's made these fascinating men and women realize their dreams from an inspired idea to millions in revenue, disrupting, innovating, and impacting humanity for the better. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Podcasting Goldmine. Are you reaching and converting your ideal buyers through podcasts yet? You'd better believe that your competition is. The podcast industry is exploding right now, with billions of dollars being poured into it and well over 1 million active podcasts in the directories. In just the past 90 days alone, hundreds of thousands of new podcasts have been added, and the industry will continue to grow whether or not you're a part of it. Your market, my friend, is listening to podcasts, and I would love to personally help you design a strategic podcast marketing plan to help your company scale and reach your business growth goals through podcasts. From getting you featured as the expert guest on premium podcasts that your ideal buyers are already listening to designing and launching a profitable podcast for your company, to show sponsorship and advertising. Podcasting for business growth is totally my jam. If you're ready to take a serious look at how you can effectively leverage podcasts for business growth, visit podcastinggoldmine.com and request a complimentary consultation for us to explore how we can make podcasts work for you. Again, that URL is podcastinggoldmine.com. Now, you never know what we're going to get into on an episode of Fascinating Founders. So get your notebook ready, cozy up with a great cup of joe, and let's dive into another inspiring journey with today's guest. Called the world's #1 lifestyle entrepreneur by Entrepreneur, Ryan Lee is a busy dad of 4 and the founder of Rewind, which makes anti-inflammatory drinks and bars. He's also the author of The Millionaire Workout, Passion to Profits, co-author of the New York Times bestselling series Worst Case Scenario Business Survival Guide, and was featured on the front page of the Wall Street Journal. That's all I've got to read about this man, but he is so much more than that. He is an inspiration, a mentor, a friend, and just one of the most fascinating people I've ever met personally. I'm super excited to welcome Ryan Lee to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate it. It's always good to see you and hear you. And I love everything you're doing. And I always recommend you as my go-to source for all things podcasting. So this is going to be fun. It
is. And I definitely appreciate that. So today, what I would love to talk with you about is your journey, your personal journey, because you have had, how many companies have you built over the years?
I've built a lot. So 3 of them have hit 7 figures in sales and 2 hit 8 figures in sales, but there have been dozens since then, some small partnerships. And I've been behind the scenes and coached literally thousands of companies. And one of my clients hit 9 figures in sales, which is a big number. A bunch of it 8, hundreds and hundreds of it 7. So it's been cool just doing business and doing that. I've been online now. I started my first website back in late 98, early 99. So it's been a while. And I love just creating and putting out good stuff to the world and helping people.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been fun.
And what was that first website? Like, what was your first interest when you started building?
So it's funny. I didn't, back in the late 90s, no one really knew about all this stuff, right? I remember when Jeff Bezos started Amazon and started just selling books. And this was before Facebook, before YouTube. So I was working at the time in the 90s, I was working at a children's rehab hospital called Blythedale Children's Hospital. And I did recreational therapy. I did adapted aquatics. So I basically worked with all these different kids with different types of physical disabilities in inpatient hospital, and fitness, sports, you name it, we did it. It was just such a great job. But on the side, I was a personal trainer because I got paid like no money. I really, and after college, I moved back home with my parents. So I was living in my old bedroom, trying to save up as much as I can. And I would train mostly young athletes because I loved working with kids. That was my training. That was my background. And I was a college athlete for all 4 years. I ran track. So I loved training. And I kind of combined the love of training and working with kids. And I was training young athletes after work, doing clinics I trained ice skaters and hockey players and tennis players, and you name it, soccer players. And I created this site, the first site was called Complete Conditioning. That was the name of my sports training company, just purely to promote my business. So it was more like a brochure. When's our next clinic and how to get in touch with me. And then I started writing articles about sports training and how to improve your 40. And it just started growing. And back then you could write an article about, how to improve your 40. And the next day you're at the top of the search engine. This was really before Google. So it was like Hotbot and Lycos and AltaVista. So I was getting all this traffic. And that's where everything began. I just kind of fell into it and I loved it right away. I loved writing. I loved publishing. Then I started my first e-commerce company. I started selling sports training equipment, medicine balls, stability balls. Then I started doing training programs for people and then created the world's first sports training membership site. So everything just kind of happened. And I did it all part-time for about 3 years until the revenue, where I'm like, the revenue's good enough now. I could go off on my own and do this full time. And it's been, over 20 years. And here I am now with the amazing Nicole Holland online.
Here you are now. Yes. So very cool. All right. So is that when you were younger, like when you were growing up, did you foresee entrepreneurship in your future, or like, what was it that you really even wanted to do as a kid?
I didn't really have a specific thing. There was a time when I wanted to be a police officer. There was also a time I knew I loved working with kids. I loved being a camp counselor. I had started my first business, believe it or not, when I was 12. I started a baseball card business, and it was great. And I did mail order to the point where I actually took out ads in magazines, and I would type up on a typewriter a price sheet of all the cards I have. Oh, I have Darryl Strawberry rookie. It's $10 and all this stuff. It was the greatest business model because I would get baseball cards for my birthday and Hanukkah, all this stuff. My dad would take me to the baseball card store. I'd buy these cards and I'd sell them. It was a great business. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I wanted to say, if I could work with kids or maybe be a teacher or work in a hospital and still do some kind of business thing, but eventually have a family and be able to build my business around my family and work for myself. That was the dream. I didn't know how I was going to get there. The first inkling I had of an idea of a business was, I still am, well, I don't know if anyone's watching this video, but if they can see the video, I built my whole office. Everything is like a dream from the 80s. I have arcade machines and records and movies. Like I've just always loved movies and music. And my idea was to do a print newsletter doing DVD and Laserdisc reviews. That's what I wanted to do. And I bought a book about how to start your own print newsletter. And that was the way I was going. I guess that's why when I first started my site, Sports and Fitness, I started writing because I just wanted to be a publisher. So that was like a dream. It's funny that now that I'm thinking about it, because I actually forgot about that for a while. I used to go to Tower Records and there was this thing called the Laserdisc, I think, review or something. And I'm like, that is the coolest gig in the world, watching movies all day and reviewing them.
How crazy that you are a publisher now, even though you have Rewind. Like, that's what you do.
Yeah, I publish. And I even, for a while, I had a print magazine. All right, lasted two issues, but I still had one. And I've learned a lot over the years. And I love creating content and information and publishing. I just love that model. I always have. And now it's really crazy that I'm running and owning this company called Rewind, which is a health company, which I've taken my love of health and wellness with these drinks and bars and still have that theme of like the retro in the 80s and the music and the movies. I've been able to kind of combine these two things that I love doing in this obscure, crazy business. And it seems to be working. And I'm just having fun doing it. I really am.
Yeah. And it so shows in everything you do. And for folks who don't already know you and aren't already following, I just want to get a little bit more because we can just go wherever, but then people are going to be like, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah, who cares about this jerk Ryan? Give me something I can use. How do I build my business?
So, well, really, I want to talk more about this jerk Ryan and how you went from, fast forward a little bit. So I want to get into, you're building the websites, you figured something out. I want to talk a little bit about how Freedom came to be, and then how Rewind came to be. So if we can you can give us a little bit of the path and really highlight those couple of things, that would be fantastic.
Entrepreneurship, when I've helped a lot of entrepreneurs, I tell them coming in, you have to be flexible. You have to be agile. You have to know we don't know what we don't know, right? We may come in with this business plan. And this was one of the first lessons I learned when I was first starting. This one guy wanted to do something with online scouting, and he wanted me to invest and gave me this 35-page beautiful business plan with here are the stats and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at him like, he's just making all this crap up. And it ended up bombing the company. And I'm like, it's not a business plan. It's a business guess, right? So I came in with my eyes wide open saying, let's play, right? Let's play and see what happens. So I started doing the online fitness, and I'm like, okay. And that was for years, just teaching online fitness, mostly strength and conditioning. Then what happened was I started getting a lot of fitness professionals and strength and conditioning professionals saying, Ryan, that's cool. You're building this business. You're doing online training. I was the first one to do it. Can you teach me how to do it? And I'm like, sure. I love talking about business. Let's go. And then I started to teach them business. That wasn't my plan. That was never my intention to teach business. I never woke up and said, I want to teach business. I never took a business course in my life. I just learned it by rolling up my sleeves and doing. So for years, I started helping these fitness professionals who now have all become the top of their industry, but this was all new at the time. So I started teaching them. They started having success. And then I was put on the stage by a guy I became friendly with, Yannick Silver. It was 15 years ago. And I got up on a stage, and it was just for entrepreneurs. And it was the first time I was in a room that wasn't just fitness professionals. And I taught them about how I'm building my membership site and how we market. And I was almost tackled after the talk. People came rushing to me. Oh my God, can you teach me this? Can you teach me that? And I'm like, sure, cool. All right, let's play. And then I created my quote unquote Ryan Lee brand, that I started teaching more general business stuff too. I still had a lot of health and fitness people, and I started teaching general business. And just then it took years and years, and I started a supplement company, another one, and I was teaching business. I was kind of juggling a lot of things at once. And that led me to this, a couple of real highs and then some big lows. In 2010, my fourth child was just born. One of our supplement companies went from millions of dollars of revenue to millions of dollars of debt almost overnight. It was everything just fell off the cliff because I kind of got stabbed in the back by someone. I'm still too trusting, but that's okay. I'll go down that road. And then my mom passed away from cancer. So all of this stuff happened, and I just launched the magazine, and it didn't go well, and all the pressure. And I was in this dark place for years, kind of treading water. Let me do a business thing. Let me try a fitness thing. Just not sure of my footing. And then I started Freedom, which I'm like, let me get back to that play. Let me create something that almost looks and feels like Netflix, but it's business stuff. And that was that idea. But my health still wasn't getting back on track. And it got bad to the point where I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called psoriatic arthritis. And I'm like, oh no. All right. Let me figure this health stuff out, because without that, I won't be around for my kids. Then I started getting serious about my health again while I was running Freedom. So Freedom was growing. I started getting serious about my health. And then I started Rewind as a way to create products for myself. I'm like, if I like them, other people are going to like them. And I was running the two at the same time, to the point where Rewind started to overtake Freedom, and I started focusing more and more on that. I sold Freedom, although it's a long story. I kind of have it back again. It's a little complicated, but Rewind is my main focus. And here I am, just back to where I started in the health world. And I still talk about business and do some business teaching because it's fun and I love it. I love helping entrepreneurs. But that was my journey. And the lesson is we all evolve, right? When I first started, I was in my 20s living in my parents' basement to now here I am, not too far away from 50 with 4 kids and married. I'm I've just changed and evolved over the years, and we all do, and that's okay. And you go with it and you roll with it. And as long as you're always open and honest and transparent and taking people along the journey with you, people will go with you. Everyone gets nervous. They're like, well, if I get pigeonholed into one thing, I can never change. And I say, get over yourself, in the nicest way possible, because most people aren't waking up saying, and as much as I love you, Nicole, most people aren't waking up saying, what's Nicole Holland do? Oh my God, she changed the name of her show again. I can't believe Nicole did that. Like, they're not thinking about that, right? They're thinking about, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do for myself? How am I going to survive? How am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to lose weight? Whatever. How am I going to deal with my kids? And then they'll see your feed or your show. They'll be like, oh, cool, Nicole's here. Like, that feels good. But we all think everyone's basing their lives around us, and they're not. And, I had someone recently email me about a product I did. And I've done so many products, Nicole, over the years that I forgot that I actually created that product. He said it, and I'm like, what? Oh my God, I did create that. I actually forgot about it. If I forget, there's hundreds of thousands of people that have forgotten as well. So that's my 20-something year journey in like 4 minutes.
I love it. So I would love also to go back, if you're willing, because I want to dig into a little bit around these dark days. I think there's a lot of value that people can take from this. And I appreciate that you shared those lessons. I want to talk about if you can take yourself back in some way to the feelings of being overwhelmed and juggling all of the things, because I think this is something we do not talk enough about. And as entrepreneurs, as much as we talk about, and founders, it's like we talk about all the things and it's tough and blah, blah. I think sometimes we gloss over really how low we can feel and low we can go, because we bounce back. Either we bounce back and you hear about us or from us, or we don't bounce back and you forget about us, because as you said, everybody's out there living their own life. Can we talk about what happened to your health when you were juggling all of the things? You had the emotional family things going on, you had the financial things going on, you were juggling. A lot of people think about juggling, or they're in the space of juggling and they may not be inspired, but they think, I'm going to get through it. I just got to keep going. How do you determine what gets dropped from the balls?
Well, for me, it was, and that was the word. I was overwhelmed. Between being a dad now and having 4 kids under the age of 5, between having my business, all of a sudden the big one crash, losing my mom, all of this it was like the weight of the world on my shoulders. And everyone was looking up to me like, oh, you're Ryan Lee, like you could do it. And man, I felt so much pressure. But I also, and I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, this happens to us. We start drinking our own Kool-Aid. We get cocky. We think that we could do no wrong. And, when people tell you good stuff, or now with social media, if they like your comment or share it, you get this little, adrenaline hit, a rush of dopamine, and it feels good. It's like this temporary thing. So, to escape, I was taking on every speaking gig I possibly can and going to every event, staying out till 3 a.m. and drinking and just not being me, like getting away from who I was at the core, which is a family guy. Like, that's my life. I built my life around my kids. So I took a step back and said, I need to fix this. I can't go down this path anymore. I've gone too far away from who I am as a husband, as a father, as a business person, as a human being. So I focused on one word, and it was simplicity. And I ran everything through the simplicity lens. So business-wise, I just cut out anything that wasn't profitable, wasn't working, or was high hassle, low profit. So there were 3, 4, 5 products. I immediately just stopped. I shut them down, and I'm not selling them anymore, to focus on the 2 or 3 big ones that did. So that was number one. I had no emotional attachment to it. Okay, I have this one product. It's not selling that great, but it's taking up brain space. Done. The magazine isn't working. Done. And then I did that for the relationships with my family. The simplicity filter was, well, what's my big goal? My goal is to spend as much time with my family as possible, which is why I started my own business. So I said no to every single speaking thing. And I didn't speak or travel for 6 years. 6 years. And I turned down millions of dollars because that's how I made a lot of money. I'd go on stage and speak and pitch. So I turned down millions of dollars, but I did it to just simplify my life and focus on my family, because that was the most important thing. By doing that, a nice benefit is that it helped my business because I was able to focus on more of my online stuff, which is where you can get more leverage anyway. And the third filter, the simplicity filter I ran through, was my health. I'm like, okay, what's the biggest thing I could do to start improving my health? Well, let's win the morning, and let's start getting rid of food that's going to cause inflammation. And that was and simplicity for workouts. Well, I know this workout is great and this workout is great, and you can go to the gym for 2 hours. What's the simplest thing I could do? I can create my own workout, because that was my background, 20 minutes a day at home, like 5-6 days a week, and I'm good. And that was it. So everything I still run my life, my business, my family, my health, like everything through the simplicity filter. How do I make things as simple as possible and just focus on the biggest stuff?
Amazing. And that was what helped you go from the darkest days back to the good days, and now better than ever, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But it was, for me, it was those 3 buckets. It was family, fitness, which is physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness, whatever those things are for you, or religious, whatever the fitness stuff is. And then the final F was the finance, was the business, and getting that tightened up. So I needed to fix all 3 of those things, because if one was out of whack, sure, I can get my health back, and sure, I can fix my business. But if I'm still doing it and I have to travel, I'm not seeing my family, then the most important thing isn't getting the attention it needs. It needs oxygen. So those 3 things were the buckets I put them into. Okay.
And so you actually lost a lot of weight. There was a point in time where you were considerably heavier, and then it almost seemed like overnight. So it obviously wasn't in your world overnight, but from like the outside world was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even recognize you for a little bit, which, so during that time, and you had created Rewind and started creating these health bars, if I'm not, fix me if I'm wrong, but you saw what was out there and you weren't satisfied with what was out there. And so you decided to do something better, something more in alignment with what your needs were, and you got your health back on track. Take us to today from then.
Yeah. It's been now a couple of years. I've kept all the weight off. I used to be, I was a fitness guy. I was captain of my college track team and state champ. I was always fit. And as it happens, you start getting older, you start packing on a pound here, a pound there, especially when you have kids. I'm eating a chicken finger here, a scoop of mac and cheese here. That stuff adds up fast. And before you know it, I'm only 5'8", I was almost 200 pounds. So for me, that was really heavy, but I didn't realize it. I remember I'd put my pants on. I'd be like, oh, these are tight. And I'd ask my wife, did you shrink these? What's going on? She's like, no. I was just in denial. But now, 2 years later, again, just simple. Just having the bar or the drink in the morning, having a good salad for lunch, a sensible dinner, doing that, my 20, 25-minute workout every day, drinking lots and lots of water. Every night, it's even decent weather outside. My wife and I go for like a 30, 40-minute walk. When I do phone calls, I'll walk. I'll just put a headset on and walk. Just making my health a priority. Yeah. Now a couple of years later, I've kept it off still, and it's like business too. It's about consistency. It's small, consistent efforts. It's not a quote unquote diet. I don't say there's nothing I can't eat, because that's what drives me crazy. You look at a diet, and one of the first pages is they'll say something like forbidden foods, or food you can never, ever eat again. Chocolate chip cookie. I'm like, hell no. All right. Now, I know with an autoimmune, I probably shouldn't be having gluten. I shouldn't be having dairy or sugar. Like, those are the 3 big things that cause inflammation for me. However, once in a while, I can have a chocolate chip cookie. Right. Now, obviously, if you have something serious and you're like deathly allergic to gluten, you can't. You could have a gluten-free one. But for me, I actually, with Rewind, another reason we call it like the 80s, we love the 80s. It's 80% of the time I eat good, clean food. But we set up a campfire thing in my backyard, and we do s'mores, and I have a s'more. Like, yes. Should I have one? It's probably not the best thing for my health. Is one gonna, give me a heart attack? No, because I'm still eating 80% of the time really, really good stuff. And I think the minute we take the pressure off ourselves to have to always eat perfectly, or, oh, I can't eat that, I'm keto, or I can't eat that, I'm intermittent fasting, I can't have a piece of, I can't have a carrot right now, I'm gonna gain 400 pounds. It's like, look, if it works for you, cool. Like if keto works for you, if intermittent fasting works for you and you feel good and you're healthy, great. I don't judge. None of that stuff ever worked for me. So, and I think taking pressure off yourself in terms of your business, it's the same thing. We try, because now the big thing is, oh, you got to hustle, hustle, hustle. And although I like him as a person, we've spoken on stage together a few times, Gary Vaynerchuk, man, he's killing more entrepreneurs with this whole hustle thing because everyone feels guilty now. They don't, they're like, oh man, I can't sit down and unplug and watch a little show on Netflix for a half hour because I should be hustling and grinding, which just leads to like adrenal fatigue and burnout and stress, because you don't even know if you're doing the right stuff. So stop trying to be everywhere, pick your spots and do a few things and do them really, really well.
Totally. Amazing. All of it. Love it all. Love hearing about your journey. Love your transparency and openness and really, really appreciate it. I was also just trying to get you to plug Rewind a little bit because I think your bars are amazing, to be honest.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah. And Rewind was, that's why I started it. And a lot of times successful entrepreneurs start a company or a business or product to solve their own problems. And that's what I did. That's why I started with the bars. I said, you know what, I let me just have a bar in the morning because it's simple. Let me find something that doesn't have inflammatory ingredients. So I created it. I wish I wanted to do a drink because I know a drink is better because it doesn't, and not only does it, so my bar has no inflammatory ingredients. However, the drink has anti-inflammatory ingredients, which is different. So I wanted to try to do smoothies in the morning or create a green drink. I just couldn't do it. It took me a long time till I was able to really dial in the flavor. And now we have these green drinks, which like I'm obsessed with, and people are losing their minds because they taste, like our pineapple tastes like pineapple juice. People can't understand how it has 50 greens in it. So we're really, really excited about the greens and how many people are loving them and how good it makes you feel. So, and it's helping fight a lot of this stuff that we have, and it's getting all these greens in our body and the veggies and the fruit and the stuff we usually don't have, like kelp or, spirulina. Who's eating spirulina? So now it's, yeah. Well, except for you. So I'm really excited, and it's just fun building this business and seeing all the people we're helping. And the whole idea of Rewind is to help people feel good. That's it. Just feel good.
So where can people go get some of this delicious pineapple flavored green drink and more? And final words of wisdom.
Yeah, we have lots of good flavors. Rewind Co. REWINDCO.com. You know what I'll do? I'll set up a coupon code. Should I call it just Nicole?
Nicole, Nicole.
Nicole, and we'll give you a nice discount. So just go in the checkout. We'll give you 20% off everything.
Very generous.
Look at that.
Thank you.
Just go to checkout on your cart and just put Nicole in there, click apply, and you get 20% off.
Thank you. That's fantastic. Woohoo.
Look at that. RewindCO.com. Rewind Co.
Cool. Any final words of wisdom before we say goodbye?
Just keep listening to Nicole Holland and, just keep moving forward, take the pressure off yourself and celebrate every win, no matter how small, even for some people, just putting a post up, just creating their first video, recording their first episode of a podcast. Like, that's great. Celebrate it. And then savor that victory, but take that momentum and keep going forward because this is a game of momentum. And know that we don't know everything and get out there and play. Have some fun.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you back on the Nicole Holland Show. So for folks who want to hear more, there's tons of places. Just search for Ryan Lee and, of course, subscribe to the Nicole Holland Show because we're going to have you there. I haven't actually gotten that approval from you yet, but there we go. We're going to do that, right? Yeah, on the spot.
Absolutely. You know I'm in anytime.
Anytime. I adore you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here today. And there you have it. Thanks again for tuning in. I do realize that there are about a million other things you could have been doing over the past half hour, and the fact that you chose to spend it listening to this podcast means the world to me. I would love to know what your biggest takeaway from today's episode was, so feel free to send it on social, tagging me at the Nicole Holland on Facebook or Instagram, or send me a message from my website, fascinatingfounders.com. You'll also find show notes with the transcript from this and all other past and future podcast episodes on the website. That URL once more is fascinatingfounders.com. Thanks to my podcasting goldmine team for the production of today's episode, and a special shout out to Effie Ceruti for composing the intro and outro music for this season. If you're looking for custom composed music for your own podcast, or any other aspect of strategy, design, or production for your existing or new podcast, the Podcasting Goldmine team can help. Give us a ring at 218-GET-SEEN or contact us through the website for a custom quote. And once again, if you are ready to explore effectively leveraging podcasts for business growth, visit podcastinggoldmine.com and request a complimentary consultation to explore making podcasts work for you. Again, that URL is podcastinggoldmine.com. Coming up on Fascinating Founders, I'm excited to introduce you to more fascinating men and women who've taken their inspired idea and against all odds have grown it into a multi-million or billion-dollar enterprise. Until next time, this is Nicole Holland signing off.